The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the participants and do not reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
BronxNet. Your voice, your views, your vision.
And hello, I'm Darren Jaime. Straight ahead on Perspectives, we'll talk about Muslims, empowering them to the next level. That's our topic of conversation right here on Perspectives with yours truly, Darren Jaime.
Relevant to life, you bring it to the table. Whether you make a move solo or a movement with a stable. No fables, you speak on your decisions. Cause in the long run, it's your voice, your views, your vision. Keeping it real with many messages for you to know. This ain't radio, but DJ runs the show. Entertainment, he rocks it. Politics, he locks it. The host with the most would handle any topic. Don't forget to share your perspective which shines a light. Cause it might make a difference in someone else's life. What's your perspective?
And hello, everyone. I'm Darren Jaime, and welcome to another edition of Perspectives. Today, our topic of conversation, how to empower the Muslim community to move to a higher level in both society and thought. Our guest in studio is Sheikh Musa Drame, and you've seen him here on Perspectives several times before, but good to have you here. And as you're here with us today, wanted to have this conversation because you've got an upcoming event.
Yes.
And share with us a little bit about the event.
Absolutely. Let me begin by one more time giving you our greetings and thanking you for always allowing us to, open up to your audience. Today is actually the final day of fasting, for Muslims all over the world, hopefully, and tomorrow is a big day of celebration where Muslims dress nice and, congratulate each other and visit each other and have a beautiful festive day. Tomorrow, as always the case, I will be giving, with God's permission, the sermon, the ending of Ramadan sermon. And my sermons, my Friday sermons, are always about self-empowerment, about what we can do now to empower ourselves, about what we can do now to empower our children and our families. What we can do as a member of New York family, what we can do. So a lot of imams, they are eloquently reciting what happened in the Middle East 1400 years ago. But I beg to differ because we are at the crossroads. We are going back. We are reversing. That's why I title the sermon, Progressive Religion Followed by Regressive Individuals. So tomorrow I will be talking about that.
So as we look now, you talk about progressive
Yeah.
and being progressive.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is, from your perspective, even when you look across the Muslim community, things have been rather aggressive.
Absolutely. Darren, if you look at Islam, as I said earlier, Islam came in the Middle East. And Islam described Middle East then. He said, it is an area with rampant ignorance. Islam quickly went to Africa. Africa, as you know it then and until maybe in some pockets of Africa, we were about tribes and tribalism. And then at the same time, Islam went to Southeast Asia, Indian subcontinent. And that, until now, it's about ethnicity. It's about last name. It's about geographic location. And then 7-11, Islam entered Europe. And you read about Europe, in 7-11, Europe was experiencing their dark ages. And from 7-11 until 1258, Islam was the #1 empowering system throughout the world because Islam was able not only to promote knowledge, but to create houses of wisdom. One of the most famous one was the Bait al-Hikmah in Baghdad. Bait al-Hikmah means the house of wisdom. Why was it unique? Well, the leadership knew that there were so many scientists and scholars in the Jewish community, in the Catholic community, in the Protestant community, even in non-believers. And they decided to incorporate all those into their collection of wisdom. Today we look at the Muslim world. All we see is death and destruction, killing each other, tribalism, ethnic war, conflict. Every single Muslim, from Yemen to Pakistan to Iraq, everywhere, even in Africa, Djibouti, Somalia, Eritrea, Sudan, Tunisia, Egypt, everywhere, fighting and killing each other, even in the month of Ramadan. Now, you look at a religion that the first commandment was to read. That was the first commandment, unheard of. Instead of worshiping God, no, read, because you cannot worship God unless you have some type of intellectual capacity. How would you worship God being ignorant? Prophet Muhammad went on to say, therefore, knowledge or seeking of knowledge is a mandatory to my community. Whether you are a Muslim man or Muslim woman, you must seek knowledge. Even if you have to travel to China. When Prophet was saying that, we didn't have airplanes. People walk or ride donkeys or camels. But he said, seeking knowledge is that important. Even if you have to travel to China. And China was not teaching Islamic studies. They were not teaching Quran. They were teaching science and technology. That's why Prophet wanted us to have that.
Do you feel right now that the Muslim community is relevant? And now when I say relevant, I mean relevant to society right now. Are you because sometimes you have communities, for instance, we'll take church, Christian church.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's said that the Christian church spends too much time worshiping God and not really doing what they need to be doing as far as social, loving thy neighbor, being active, being relevant.
Well, I would put it this way. Muslims, we make up about over 23% of the global population. Yet we contribute less than 10% to the global GDP. Now the 57 OIC members is the Organization of Islamic Cooperation. 57 members, a lot of them are OPEC members, produce less than $5 trillion in GDP total, versus U.S. over $14 trillion, meaning that the entire Muslim world produces 1/3 of the U.S. GDP. Now, U.S. is one country versus 57 nations that happen to have some of the most sought-after natural resources. Something definitely went wrong. And to a lot of people, we are no longer relevant. And why is that? Well, because when your religion said the most important thing is knowledge, and now yet half of your population, which consists of female Muslims, are illiterate, you have the youngest population out of all the populations in the world, yet you do not give them opportunities for higher education. In the Muslim world, according to widely circulated reports, have less than 600 universities in the entire Muslim world. In the United States alone, you have almost 6,000 universities. Now, I was reading about intellectual, development. Harvard University or Yale produces more intellectual papers than the entire Muslim world a year. So the problem of relevancy is a question or the problem that the youth, the Muslim youth of today are asking. Are we relevant? And the numbers show we are not.
So how do you make relevant? Because you give glaring statistics, and they are, but now the question is, I've got to make my community relevant. So how do you go about, right here within your very own borough, getting the Muslim community to see the bigger picture, and not just see it, but to be a participant in it?
Darren, all the questions about the Muslim plight or the Muslim regression can be found in their very own book. Islam, if you look at, let's say, the universal brotherhood, Islam is the only religion out of the Abrahamic religion that says we believe in all the prophets, we believe in their books, and we do not discriminate. If you go to Quran, if you go to chapter 3, verses 84. Chapter 3, verses 84. It says, Allah said to Prophet, tell your followers that you believe in Allah, you believe in you and what you brought to Abraham, what you brought to Jacob, what you brought to Ismail, what you brought to Isaac, and the tribes, what you brought to Moses, what you brought to Jesus. And tell them, don't let them make any distinction among them. These are all God's people. Now, that message is a message of togetherness. Today, you look at some Muslim scholars in terms of they call the kuffars or the non-believers. Where did you get that? God said, let's not discriminate among them. Now, what we need to do is we need to incorporate the best part of other communities into the Muslim community. That's what the leaders did in Baghdad, opening Beit al-Hikmah, the House of Wisdom, where the Jewish scholars will contribute, where the Greek philosophy will be interpreted into Arabic, where the Catholics and Christians and everybody will empower the Muslim community. That is what we need to do.
Take a quick break and come back more with Sheikh Musa Drami. Coming up next, talking about interfaith, ecumenical. Is it possible? Does it exist? And what can be done to make that better? Stay with us when we return right after this.
You know, when I was younger, man, my brother was the one who really took care of me, man.
Is that right?
Hey, he'd wake me up in the morning, get me ready for school, take a shower, make me some breakfast.
Where your brother at now?
Oh, he know. Iraq. I get lonely, nobody to talk to. I felt like quitting school. He looked at me dead in my eye. He told me, if not for me, do it for him.
Give Josh and our class of '08 the boost they need to graduate. Join us at boostup.org.
My name's Brandon. 9 years old, being alcoholic.
Hi, Brandon.
I'll start drinking with the older kids. And whatever they do, I'll do.
Kids who drink before age 15 are 5 times more likely to have alcohol problems when they're adults. So start talking before they start drinking.
I know it'll start with alcohol. I'm just not sure how it's gonna end.
Megan, you're a tramp. Ryan Fitch told me you guys made out. Everybody knows. He says you're the most desperate girl he knows, besides your mom. How many boyfriends does she have anyway? Lots? That zit is huge. Zit face. Ugly.
For you. Hey, Mom.
You know, girls, I used to cheer back in my day. Ready? Okay! Go team!
That was amazing, amazing, amazing.
Mom. That was amazing.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of siblings in foster care who'll take you just as you are.
And we're back here on Perspectives. Darren Jaime here with you, and we're continuing our conversation with Sheikh Musa Drami as we're talking about the Muslim community. Before the break, we shared a little bit about the fact that you got to rise to another level. And your message to those that you work with and those that you have charge over is to really empower them to another level. I want to talk a little bit about what I said going into the break, because there's a stereotype between Muslims and the rest of society. That most of the time when people look at Muslims, sometimes the first thing they think are nowadays terrorists. You talked about the glory days, but now the bad days are, now we talk about Muslims, it's almost associated as terrorists, and really getting people to partner with the Muslim community on the broader scope. Do you feel like there's progress being made post 9/11 to allow that conversation, that dialogue to break down some of those stereotypes that exist?
Yeah. Well, you know, even if progress was made, people don't know about it. Number one, all you see is death and destruction and killing. All you see is hatred, venomous coming out of the people who have access to the media. And all you see is poverty and ignorance coming out of the Muslim world. And this should never, ever be the case. You cannot have the most progressive religion that gives you all the tools of empowerment, even when others did not find the solution to the global problem. And yet, you are where you are. The Muslim world, by and large, possess, or the Muslim majority nations possess the trophiest natural resources, from the Middle East to North Africa and West Africa to Asia. What we're lacking is intellectual development. What we're lacking of is individuals who can correctly interpret the message of empowerment that you will find in our book. So when you now see in the month of Ramadan, where Muslims deemed it to be the holiest of the month where God said, so that you will learn self-control, so that you'll be a better man. When you see a person holds another innocent person's head and said, God is great, and cut that head, what would you think of the religion? What would you think of the people? You see, because one, barbaric act destroys the entire progress of the community. And that is now the status quo, which is a very unfortunate, which is something that all Muslims, the so-called liberal Muslims and otherwise, must confront. And nobody, not the West, not the East, nobody fix the Muslim problems but themselves. Because the Quran that Muslims believe and follow said, you will not have your condition change unless you change your attitude. And that is a statement from the book that we follow. If we are now to be relevant again, to continue to occupy the lofty positions of knowledge and intellectual development and inventions and everything, then we have to come back to the very, very basic Islamic commandments: knowledge and higher learning and higher education and universal education for all, male and female, old and young. This was the etiquette of Muslims. Prophet said, go to China to seek higher education. And today you have illiteracy rate among Muslims higher than any other community that is civilized. We need to change that.
Give me a little bit about an update, because we've had you here before. You've been very much instrumental in the conversation piece that goes on downtown in terms of what we know to be what was supposed to be a mosque, and it's not a mosque, and the things that are taking place since the World Trade Center, the development down there. And you've even had opportunity to walk and talk and be a part with Ray Kelly, our police commissioner, in educating him. Give us a little bit about where things stand about 9/11 down at the World Trade Center. At the World Trade Center, have we got any better resolution with that?
What happened is this: New York City is a capital of the media, and for any endeavor to be successful, in some cases, you have to have the blessings of the media. As they said, in New York, the media will make you, or they will eliminate you.
Yes, yeah.
What they did, what they were successfully able to do, is that they sowed the seed of problem. The masjid is still there, but the intended structure and the plan and the project unfortunately die out. Because what happened is this: it got to a point where the partners who are brothers in the deen, meanwhile had a good intention of creating something similar to Y in the Lower East Side, became now a tool of, unfortunately, bickering. So now the imams part ways, and the project, unfortunately, is where it is. The place, we still pray there, but the actual project, unfortunately, did not survive and may not survive. Now, when we talk about 9/11, 9/11 is a world changer. And 9/11 is the worst thing that happened to the Muslim world. It is the worst of the worst of the worst, because forever and ever and ever, you have children in the last decade who grow up knowing nothing but Al-Qaeda, Taliban, death and destruction, killing, and these killings, they don't care about whether it's a mosque, temple, synagogue, funeral, wedding, senior center, nothing. As a matter of fact, a couple of days ago, in the month of Ramadan, these terrorists in Pakistan wait until around 6 o'clock because that time is a peak where Muslim families will go to the market to shop for the things they need to break their fast. And they detonated a bomb or bombs, and scores of innocent fasting Muslims died. So all these are the remnants of 9/11. So some Muslims say, oh, but everybody know about Islam, but they know it for wrong reason. That is not the best way to promote your religion. You promote your religion by a noble act. Quran again said, even when you have to disagree with people, do it in the most beautiful way. Because your enemy today, with a right conduct and a right attitude, may become your best friend the more they know that your character is on blemishes. So 9/11 can never ever have any type of positive aspect in the world, especially among Muslims.
Come back with more with Sheikh Musa Drama. We'll be right back to get his final thoughts when we return right here, right after this.
Big dreams and good grades aren't enough to get into college. There are actual steps you need to take. Finding someone who can help is the first and most important. For the next steps, go to knowhowtogo.org.
Low-fat cheese sandwiches on whole wheat bread. Chewy and good for you. Snacks high in calcium help build strong bones. And foods rich in fiber are good for your heart. So you have the power to dominate. Can your food do that? Run, throw, think, eat better. Find out more at smallstep.gov.
Every year, mothers lose their babies to gun crimes. You'll always be your mother's baby. So before you commit a gun crime, think about who you'll leave behind. Gun crimes hit home.
Clean kitchen surfaces, utensils, and hands with soapy water. 1 in 6 Americans will get sick from food poisoning this year. Keep your family safer. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov.
And welcome back to Perspectives. Our guest, Sheikh Musa Drama. And give me a little bit about this, Sheikh. When we're talking about the work in the community, negative stereotypes. We've got police officers who have negative stereotypes, and a few have ruined it for many. So much so that, particularly here in the borough of the Bronx, that we know several cases where there have been questionable police shootings and deaths, and yet and still no justice has been served. There's this disconnect between police and community. And I know you work very hard to make the connection. Give us a little bit about the work that you guys do in more of a proactive form.
Absolutely. You know, this is a subject and topic and issue that I always talk, and every time, the more I talk about it, the more I isolate myself from my own communities, because people believe that, you know, the police is more problem than ourselves, which is wrong, incorrect. We kill each other more so than any other species on the face of the earth. Black on black crime and black on black violence is worse than even animals. And now you do not see these leaders going out internationally and said, we have to stop black on black violence. Now, unfortunately, in a lot of these cases, the youth that unfortunately encounter with the law enforcement, recently, a 14-year-old gang member,
right,
you know, with a gun, shooting another kid. Now, we need all substance of the world to say, you know what, not in our community. Not in our community, not in our community, unless the black leadership can be truthful about what is happening in our community, then we all are opportunistic. We want to have TV time, make more money, raise, sentiment, feelings, and nothing gets done.
Should there be just as equal a press conference when there is black on black crime and a young man is shot to death and by another young man or gang-related activity? Should there be an equal press conference as much as there is a questionable police shooter?
No, we need to have a 1 million man march whenever a black kills another black child. We need to mobilize international parents and teachers and leaders to say, you know what, we will never ever allow this. These so-called leaders, they are not doing it. They're rallying for one case. And after the case, you see these lawyers who do not live in the neighborhood advertising because they had the big verdict. It is all about money. What we need to focus on is empowering our communities. If they need education, we refer them to schools. If they need jobs, we help them find jobs. If they need parental guidance, we help them with mentorship. Whatever the problem is, we can help them. We should not wait until a kid, 14-year-old with a gun, try to kill another kid or try to sell drugs and then, encounter police officer and then we go public and then create all type of feelings and movement with resources, make false moves and, give false hopes and bring all these elements of opportunistic things in our society. That's not what we should do. And I'm always on point of self-empowerment, self-govern, self-protection, self-recognition of the value that we have. I have 3 teenagers, and every single day I look at them and I said, if you commit one crime, police will not see you. I'm going to kill you because since you're going to be in jail, I'm going to be dead. So I'll kill you first. And guess what? If every parent said that if you commit one single crime, I'll kill you first, the crime in the black community will dissipate. But we don't do that. We say, oh, the police officer don't like you. Oh, this guy doesn't like you. Oh, the system doesn't like you. And guess what they said? They go out there and thinking that everybody hates them. We need to change that. Now, before we, I
got 30 seconds. Come on, tell me quickly.
Yeah, I just brought this because I talk about education and everything. I just brought this to show you. These are 4 patents pending, one of which is approved. This is a patent that I obtained for things that I believe in, higher education, science and technology. And what I want everybody to do is to know that if you want to change your financial life, get good education.
Where do they go to get this information?
They can go to my website, MuslimCommunityReport.com. MuslimCommunityReport.com.
Sheikh Musa Drami, it's always good to have you.
Absolutely.
All right, catch him on MuslimCommunity.com. Find out. MuslimCommunityReport.com. Trying to rush because we're right at the edge right here. We're almost out of time. Thank you for joining us. Until the next time we meet, stay safe. Share your perspective with somebody else. It just might make a difference in their life. Darren Jaime saying take care and God bless. MuslimCommunityReport.com.